Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the last edition of the semester of the Generación STEM Get Future Ready live stream. My name is Marifer Zavala, graduate assistant for Generación STEM at TXST. I am so excited to be back for another Get Future Ready session, and this week I am joined by a very special guest, Hailey Clem. Ms. Clem, it's a pleasure to be able to chat with you today about your work as a sample coordinator specialist at Celanese Engineered Materials Department.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you and with everybody else in the audience as well. And just to let you know, it's pronounced Celanese. It took me a while too.
Okay, Celanese. Thank you for letting me know.
Of course.
Before we get into the more technical part of the conversation, will you please give us a bit of background about yourself?
So my name is Hailey Clem. My maiden name is actually Hailey Sterneman. I'm from Victoria, Texas. It's a little bit further south, close to Corpus. I went to Texas State from 2013 to 2017. I have a bachelor's degree in applied mathematics with a minor in business administration. I've worked in supply chain since I've graduated. I've done source planning, manufacturing planning. Now I'm a sample coordinator. I just besides work, I reside in Dallas as well with my husband, and my son is a dog. His name is Chip, so he's a corgi.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And we asked you to be here today because we want our students to learn more about what career opportunities are available for them to explore after their STEM career at Texas State. Can you tell us a little bit more about your job?
Yes, so I currently work in Irving, Texas. It's right outside of Dallas for Celanese. They are a chemical company, and we deal with specialty plastics and things like that. So pretty much any kind of plastic that you really have anywhere in your car. We do plastic and medical devices, tape, and then we also work with a bunch of distributors as well to distribute more of our material across the country and across the world as well. So yes, I work in Celanese. I'm in the engineer materials group as a sample coordinator. So my job specifically is to send samples across the globe to different kinds of companies such as Tesla. Even though there's a Tesla in the US, there's a Tesla also in China. So I might send material to China instead of the US and things like that. Basically, I send samples from our company in order to provide more opportunities for us to sell more material to other companies, and also to help with any testing. If we change the material from where we're producing it to another source, then again, us and the customer might want to retest it just to make sure that we're okay with the material moving forward. So yeah, that's a lot of what I do. Again, my job is pretty much anywhere. That's also why I was kind of gravitating towards supply chain after graduation, is I can work anywhere. There's companies everywhere that are buying things in supply chain and storing materials and stocking it, whether it's chemicals, whether it's semiconductors, whether it's tile, whether it's flooring materials, anything, right? So just let you know, it's a job that's around pretty much everywhere in every company. So.
Well, that sounds very, very interesting. And what steps did you take to prepare professionally for this job?
So when I went to Texas State, I actually did a lot more of research opportunities for mathematics. One thing that I kind of realized as I went through my undergrad is there wasn't as much opportunity for mathematic majors to go into industry, right? We have a lot of job fairs that kind of focus more on the things like that, versus I feel like math is a broad and general degree, and sometimes it's just figuring out what to do with that. So during my undergrad, I did more research opportunities. Those just happened to be the opportunities I was given. I applied for internships and for co-ops and all things like that. I do think those opportunities were great for me, though. Pretty much REUs are research opportunities for undergrads, and that is usually what you use to prepare yourself for a PhD or your master's or anything else moving forward. I do feel like during those times that I learned to think more logically. I learned to think with more people, different people from all over the world. My research opportunities have people from Salvador, from Puerto Rico, and things like that, from China. And it was really cool dealing with those different perspectives. So I will say, in general, the more you expose yourself to different people, it kind of helps you learn how to deal with different personalities or different cultures. And I think that was a really good skill for me working in supply chain, where I already deal with a bunch of different countries as well. And then also, I was in a HL SAMP for my undergrad as well. I was in that program that dealt a lot with Tokyo Electron. They're a semiconductor company in Austin. And during my senior year, I was able to get internship with them, and I learned Excel and some other kind of skills. And then when I graduated, is how I kind of landed in supply chain and planning. So it really is a lot of networking that helped me a lot too.
Yes, and from your perspective, what is a skill set that you think students should prioritize developing outside of the classroom? I know we kind of touched base on this, but is there a particular professional skill that you would emphasize to be important for your line of work?
For me, I just happened to be in one position where I was able to learn a lot in Excel, and thankfully someone was able to teach me as well. And ever since then, no matter what company I've been in, that's been a pretty good skill that a lot of companies are interested in, especially in my own group right now. And when I say that, I mean just going to the level of doing a V lookup or a pivot. If you can learn how to do those two things in Excel with some data sets, then you'll do great. And really, that's the only things that I kind of do that a lot of people don't know how, and it's really easy to teach yourself. Um, that's more for technical skills, but what I really do want to emphasize is more of the soft skill part of like post grad. Is I think a big thing to learn, and things that I would have done back at Texas State, is kind of again going back to kind of networking, and not so much networking with just like a goal in mind, just networking to just learn new people, learn new people's perspectives, to kind of, I feel like undergrad is a really good time to kind of explore what you want to do or not to do, or the type of people you want to work with or not work with. And that's something I would emphasize too, is you can have 10 people in a room that know how to do VLOOKUPs, but can all 10 of those people talk to a bunch of other people and be able to form those type of relationships? So
Thank you for sharing. Um, your feedback is very valuable for our students. So if you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. And if not, I can ask you another question. What was the hardest part about transitioning to the work world after graduation?
to me, and I'm like, so for my own personal story and my perspective, I picked math because I like numbers. I didn't really, again, it was a general degree, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, in general. So I felt like I needed kind of more of a plan. If I could go back, I wish I had a little bit more of a plan. Again, I kind of landed in spots that worked well for me, and I ended up being happy. I still work with a lot of data. I still work with a lot of numbers. And I'm very grateful for that. Um, but I think it's like, once you graduated from Texas State, you have the most freedom you probably have ever had. You went from school, you went from elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. And now I work my 9 to 5. I don't have to go home and do 3 hours of homework, right? So that's something that I think I kind of struggled with in the beginning, is learning what to do with my time and kind of learning to have a life. And that's something, again, if I would go back to my undergrad, I would have more of that balance. Um, I was just so focused on, being a first generation student as well. I came from a Hispanic household where my mother raised me, and I was very focused on trying to make sure I didn't waste an opportunity. And the thing is, I was already there. There was no opportunity to waste. I was living it. And I just wish I would have, again, gone back to that networking. I only hung out with STEM majors. Why wasn't I over there talking to marketing people and things like that? Because in the real world, after college, guess who I'm talking to at work? I'm talking to the marketing or the business people. And again, I would already have maybe a step up if I would have done some more of that during undergrad. So, yeah.
Yes, for sure. And are you in the same line of work you thought you would be as a student at Texas State?
No, I originally wanted to be a teacher. My parents were like, teaching is always going to be there. Why don't you try to have other experiences? Which again, I was always so very narrow about certain things. So I'm glad that they told me that. And that's something I would like to tell everybody else. Just because it's not necessarily where your next step was going to be, sometimes you might be surprised of where you fall into. Maybe that was actually a better situation for you. So yeah, I wanted to be a math teacher. I did a lot of the research opportunities. So at one point, I wanted to go and get my PhD and be a professor. Um, I decided, because I was a math major, I didn't know that many people that had math degrees that went into the industry. I decided I wanted to go into the industry to see how that was, so that if anyone ever called me later to do an interview at Texas State about what I did with my math degree, instead of getting my PhD, I could at least say that I did something a little bit different, so that they can maybe do something different. Um, it's really I just want everybody to know too, it's really what you make of it. Everything's what you make of it. So just try and live life to the fullest. Don't think too serious. You're going to get a good job if you do what you love. So.
Yes, words of wisdom. And Kanisha Trimble commented that networking is very important and that it's a great point of what you said earlier. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Ms. Clem, thank you so much for being here today and helping our students learn more about your career and possible ways to prepare for entering the STEM workforce.
Of course. And, if anyone ever needs anything or ever wants to reach out or have more conversations, they are more than welcome to reach out to me. I know Susan Romanella also has my contact information. So, whatever I can do to give back to a school that gave me a bunch of opportunities, I would love to return it. So.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us today for this edition of Get Future Ready. Have a great day and see you next time. If you're a student at Texas State working towards a career in STEM, please reach out to us so that we can help you navigate your STEM career development at Texas State. And you can find us on social at TXST Gen STEM. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.